Orion is the world's newest Giga coaster. And yes, it's a Giga, because the drop is 300 feet, so I don't want to hear how it's not a Giga because the height is 287 feet. Drop matters, not the height. Okay, got that out of the way. Kings Island has been rumored to get a Giga for years now, and Cedar Fair delivered. When it was announced, a lot of people were disappointed because it looked like they were getting the budget Giga, pretty much meeting the minimum requirements in height and length. But you can't judge it until you ride it, and I was able to get 4 rides on Labor Day, 3 in the back and 1 in the front. I got a really good feel for this coaster, and today I'm gonna break it down and give you my overall thoughts. These are all of Orion's elements, ranked from worst to best. Orion is located on the former plot of Firehawk, in the area formerly known as X-Base, now rethemed to Area 72, paying homage to Kings Island's opening year of 1972. You walk up and hear a conspiracy theorist on the radio talking about what the government is doing.
In a kind of semi-hibernation-like existence, but able to be engaged. And the government is getting knowledge from them with these breakaway rogue intelligence agencies working non-stop.
But since you saw the Orion promo, you know the truth. The Earth is being attacked by meteors, and you're being recruited to test the new system that will send us to another planet in the Orion galaxy. Flight of Fear is also in this area, but that space theme fits right in with Orion. The end of the queue line probably has the most theming of anywhere on the ride. For a Cedar Fair park, it's a good storyline, and it's executed pretty well. Not quite to the level of Copperhead Strike, but still good. There's a ride-up at the top of the stairs assigning rows, but they were very accommodating to row requests. I rode the front and the back, and other than the visuals and having the wind in your face, I thought the forces in the front kinda sucked, so these rankings will be based on my back row rides. Let's get started. Number 8. The Wave Turn. Is this a real wave turn? I'm not sure, but when I've gone through these on Lightning Rod and West Coast Racers, it was an incredible pop of lateral ejector. This element fell flat on Orion, maybe because it's too high off the ground and the train isn't going too fast through it. A big Camelback would have been better in terms of getting airtime, but these Gigas are not all about airtime. And with some of the elements that come after giving airtime, they may have been trying to mix it up. But I think the element was a dud. It didn't do anything. Number 7. The Turnaround. Some people call this the reverse treble clef, which makes sense if you compare it to Fury. That element twists you to the top and has a straight drop down. This one has a straight climb to the top and a twisted dive down. I think Fury's is both more intense and gives better airtime on the dive down, and is one of the highlights of the ride. But this element on Orion was very forgettable. Number 6. The pop into the brakes. Most coasters have this, but you don't get anything out of it. The only other coaster that I could think of where you get a good pop of back row floater into a brake run is Mako on its mid-course. Orion also has enough speed into the brakes that you get one final solid airtime moment to end the ride on a strong note. Number 5. The Camelback. I love a good Camelback. It may be my favorite single element of all time other than Outer Banked Hills. But there's one thing that can kill a Camelback, and that's a trim brake. Orion has one that hits every time I rode it. This is a big hill, so even with the slowdown, you get good floater in the back all the way down. But the trim does make the airtime weaker, and it kills any airtime that you would have gotten in the front while cresting that hill. Number 4. The Helix. This is probably the most unique element on the ride, and it could make you gray out if you haven't ate or drank anything recently, which was the case for me. It's not a traditional Helix. You twist up and then twist down, but the positive G's are definitely there. B&M was looking for unique elements to get on this Giga. They wanted to separate it from the airtime machine Diamondback on the other side of the park. And unlike the Wave Turn, I think this was a nice touch to bring some intensity to the ride. Number 3. The Speed Hill. Coming off the turnaround, there's a short and drawn-out speed hill. This delivers some moderate but sustained airtime. Enthusiasts love these, but they're not too common on B&Ms. You can find them on Mako and Leviathan, but they usually give stronger airtime than the typical B&M Camelback, even if it's not as sustained. But I prefer this to Orion's Camelback because of that trim. Number 2. The Twisted Dip before the brakes. This is one element that has been getting a lot of play from enthusiasts, and rightfully so. After the Helix, the ride pops up and twists to the left for one more final dip before popping into the final brakes. In the back, this is where you're going to get some great lateral airtime. This is also the part of the ride where everyone likes the photograph from the queue, so you'll get to see everyone enjoying what arguably is the best part of the ride. It's weird for a Giga to have its best element be a little dip before the brakes, but I don't make the rules. I just ride the coasters and tell you what's going on. Number 1. The first drop. It's a 300-foot drop, so it's gotta be good. But because this is the budget Giga and is only 287 feet tall, I think a lot of people overlook the drop. But I thought it was phenomenal. These B&M Giga drops last forever. They seem way longer than the Intamin Gigas that seem to level out sooner. In the back, you're out of your seat and floating down at a near vertical angle for several seconds. It's the best drop in the park, and it made Diamondbacks feel short by comparison. Diamondback has one of my favorite drops, but it was a little disappointing this time after riding Orion 3 times in the back. The drop alone is worth the wait. It's not better than any of the other B&M Gigas, but those are equally amazing. So here are some overall thoughts on Orion. I think B&M spoiled us with Fury, with a 320-foot drop and over 6,600 feet of track, and a layout that's just about as good as it gets. That would cost Cedar Fair a fortune, and Orion was pretty expensive as it stands. Do I think that Orion is a hit for Kings Island? Absolutely yes. It's different enough from Diamondback to fill a role in the park. It has a great theme. It puts Kings Island in that elite category because it was the only top-tier park in the chain without a Giga. And personally, after Fury, this is my second favorite Giga, and I've been on all of them except for Steel Dragon 2000. I wouldn't say it exceeded my expectations, but it landed on the upper end of my expectations. I was skeptical about the layout when it was announced, and even though it does feel like a short ride, the forces make up for it. It doesn't feel like a speed machine like Fury or Millennium Force, and this is because it doesn't stay that low to the ground. And that's a valid criticism that I've heard about it. But it's got positives, it's got negatives, it's even got laterals, and it's a lot of fun. Another great thing is that Kings Island cranks out these trains like crazy. 3 trains and quick dispatches. It seems like there's always a train on the lift hill. And speaking of that lift hill, it has the quietest anti-rollback system I've ever heard for a chain lift. I'm not even sure how it works, but it's kind of nice, and it helps fit the space age theme of the ride. That old-fashioned chain dog clinking around on the lift doesn't really fit. Some people have also called Orion rough, and that it has something to do with the ground under the park being soft and affecting all the big rides. I can attest that it wasn't the smoothest ride, but I would in no way call it rough, or even a little rough. Just slightly shakier than a brand new coaster would normally be, and not something that you think about while riding it. If you want rough, check out Diamondback's trim Camelback. That thing feels like an earthquake. If you've had the chance to ride Orion, let me know how it stacked up with your expectations, and which elements were your favorite and least favorite. This has 8 very distinct elements that make it easy to break down, so I thought that this format worked for this ride. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. That's the best way to show your support for the channel. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do so and hit that bell. You won't want to miss any more random coaster content like this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.